The Navalny conviction and that of his colleague is the latest outrage of an abuse of human rights that we've seen by the Putin regime, where we see a steady pattern of cracking down against civil society, against opposition figures, against any perceived threats to Putin's hold on power. Navalny's been one of the most outspoken people, revealing cases of corruption, challenging Putin's hold on power, announcing his candidacy for mayor of Moscow, saying he wants to run for president. And this is the way that Putin and his cronies respond, by trying to throw him in jail for 5 years on ridiculous charges. Local investigators looked into this matter, closed the case. The prosecutors in Moscow decided to reopen it. It's a total farce. The judge in the case denied Navalny of having any defense witnesses testify, making a mockery of the whole thing. So they're almost not even going through serious motions anymore in trying to shut down any of these perceived threats.
The U.S. ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul, basically wrote today that he is disappointed with the verdict. Would you expect any stronger statement on this? Let's say appalled, maybe, or does it signal, you think, that the meeting of President Putin with President Obama in September will proceed as planned?
Well, I would hope that there would be a statement issued by the White House that would express its outrage over this situation. And it should come in the name of the president. Catherine Ashton's issued a statement. There should be other leaders issuing statements. This is really taking the situation in Russia to a higher degree of abuse than we've seen before. And it's not good enough for the U.S. ambassador in Moscow, whom Russian officials don't listen to, I'm afraid, anymore, even though he's a good person. It's not good enough for the spokesperson at the State Department or the spokesperson at the NSC. It has to come from the president. Otherwise, frankly, Putin isn't going to take it seriously, and he'll read into that it's not that big an issue for the United States. I would also say that the judge in this case, the prosecutors in this case, anyone involved in this case should be added to the Magnitsky list. And this is why the Magnitsky list, keeping it open, is important, so that we can add individuals who engage in these kinds of abuses of the system, can at least pay some penalty here in the United States by having any assets they might have here frozen and being denied the privilege of traveling here or having their family come here.
But does the U.S. have real leverage against Moscow these days? Is the Magnitsky list enough?
Well, the Magnitsky list is a start, and it would be good if Europeans also adopted the Magnitsky list. And that's something that I think is very important over the next few months and next year, to encourage member states in Europe to adopt Magnitsky-like sanctions. And the Navalny case may be a good cause for some of these member states to rethink this. There's the expectation that there's going to be a third trial brought against Khodorkovsky. The list is getting longer and longer about these outrageous abuses of human rights, and it's not simply sufficient for Western leaders to say we're disappointed or we're concerned. They should be doing something about it. You asked about the president's visit to Moscow in early September in connection with the G20 meeting. Some have been saying because of the Edward Snowden issue that Obama shouldn't go. I would say actually the Navalny issue is a good reason for him not to go. And all the other abuses that we've seen, including the ridiculous posthumous conviction of Sergei Magnitsky just a week or two ago. Putin thinks he can get away with this stuff and not pay any price. I would say that showing up in Moscow for a meeting with Putin and acting as if all we're interested in is cooperation on economic issues and other things, and not saying anything about human rights, which the president didn't say, at least publicly, when he met with Putin in June in Northern Ireland, that just is unacceptable, in my view. That's unacceptable from a U.S. policy position. At a certain point, you have to wonder whether the administration really cares about these issues. It's got to come from the highest levels, given the involvement and time that the president has expended on developing relations with Russia and on the reset policy. The president's got to set the tone.